So I've taken you through some really good, really effective trading strategies, some of which can get you huge gains, some of them get you consistently small gains. But the one that is most popular, the one that gets kind of the best gains on a consistent basis, the one that I certainly do a lot of, if I do it at all, is this one. The number one trading tip is buy the rumor, sell the news. Okay, so what happens is that either a cryptocurrency or people from the community say that something's going to come up. Either they are cryptic about it and say it's big news coming up, big news going to be announced on X date. Or they say wallet going to be released in 5 days' time. Or they say a rebranding is going to be taking place in 5 days or a week or 2 weeks. That is essentially the rumor. That is basically an announcement. It's going to be coming out. So the announcement comes out and the date is here. Now, the announcement is essentially the rumor, and the date of whatever the news is, so whether that's a new wallet or a rebranding, so the date of the actual rebranding is the news. Okay, so you're buying the announcement up to the news, and then you sell when that news comes out. That's essentially how this works. And this is essentially enables you to make anywhere from 20 to 50% gains dependent on the impact of the news. Okay, so if it's pretty significant news, let's say for instance a cryptocurrency is being listed on one of the major exchanges, that's a big impact. If it's a new wallet, it is a bit of an impact, but it really only affects those that already are holders of that cryptocurrency, and it's good news because it essentially allows them to keep their funds secure. A new wallet is probably on the lower end of significance, whereas something like a rebranding, something that changes really the nature of that cryptocurrency, or they're being listed on a major exchange, that is high impact. Okay, so you can make really good gains dependent on the impact. Looking at the timescale of when you can benefit from the news, it can be instant and it could be all the way up to 2 weeks. So I'm going to give you an example of instant. So today, Power Ledger, which is a cryptocurrency I'm actually invested in and I follow on Twitter, 12 hours ago they posted this news. They are now listed on Bittrex, which is arguably the most popular Western exchange out there. And what happened to Power Ledger's price is it instantly went up, and you can see here 47% rise based on where it was. Yesterday this was around about 17 cents on average, and then basically since that news came out, it was an instant rise in the coin price. So it went from 17 cents and then it sparked up all the way to 29 cents, which is huge. This was about 70% gain. So it can be even higher. As I said, listing on a very popular exchange can be very significant news. And for Power Ledger, which is a very new cryptocurrency, literally wasn't even around before November. It's the 14th of November today. It wasn't even around in November. This is very, very new cryptocurrency. It's been listed on minor exchanges. Being listed on Bittrex is very significant for the visibility of this cryptocurrency. And so people essentially instantly bought the rumor and sold the news. Okay, so this was very instant. It was essentially news. There was no time period. They weren't saying, you know, in 5 days' time, we're going to be listed on Bittrex. This is, we are listed on Bittrex. So essentially rumor and news at the same time. So this goes up, it pumps. And because there is no actual news date, so if it was the rumor, people would sell on the news. Because it's just straight away news, people have bought it up, and then it's just got an indeterminable time by which it will actually start to tank. And as you can see, it started tanking when it was close to 30 cents. And it's tanked down to 25 cents now. But it's still a huge gain, even if you got out now after it has slightly tanked. Another example is this one from B3 Coin, who 20 hours ago said on November the 15th, which is essentially tomorrow, but they said this yesterday, so 2 days, we will revolutionize masternodes. So they're basically saying, B3 Coin is offering a masternode, so that is significant news. And looking at the B3 price today, this has gone up. It's gone up and it's gone down slightly as well. So you can see currently it's a 32% gain, okay, which is well over, you know, the 20%. This has gone higher, okay, so if we just go back, you know, a few hours ago, it was over 0.1 of a cent, and now it's gone down to, you know, 0.09 of a cent. So yeah, so you can see here that that can instantly change the price. Now, people basically pumped it. On that news, people bought it up, and then it slightly dumped a little bit more, and then people have bought it up again because this is going to be announced tomorrow. So although there was one initial spike and people have sold it, it's now going up again because the news hasn't yet hit. When the news does hit, I imagine that the coin price is going to go down, and it's probably going to go down a little bit. Not a huge amount, because it hasn't actually pumped a lot. Because it was at 0.0007, and at the moment, it's at 0.0009. And so it was at 0.0007 before that announcement even came up. So it's not likely to dump majorly, but the gains were there to be made yesterday when the announcement actually came up, and then today still before the actual news. If we look at another example, there's Digibyte. Now, Digibyte is a great example of a 2-week period existing between the announcement and the actual news. So if we go back to around about the May-June time, this was when it started. So officially, what happened was there was a rumor that Digibyte were on course to win a competition that was hosted by Citibank, which is a big, banking institution, basically. And they were holding a product competition by which Digibyte was putting a product forward for it. There was also some news that Digibyte was going to be integrated into the game Minecraft, which is one of the most popular games for kids ever. And by incorporating it into it and being able to mine it via the game, these 2 bits of market news sent the price skyrocketing. Okay, skyrocketing. Now, I got involved in Digibyte when it was at 0.006. Okay, so it was quite a way down here, because I heard about this very early on. And then all of a sudden, I let the community know. I went on YouTube and I said, this is what's happening. And then bang, it went right up. Now, the news for both bits of news was going to be hitting on the 9th. So the Minecraft and the Citibank competition were happening on the 9th. Okay, so on the 9th of June, that was when it hit its highest price. So it went from 0.006 to 0.06, so 6 cents. So it went up 10 times. Now, if you got in much earlier, you would have made a little bit more than 10 times your investment. And then straight away, on the 9th, once it hit its peak, it absolutely plummeted. And since that point, it's never been able to regain that. Okay? This was an absolute perfect, or textbook example of buying the rumor, trading the news. On the day of the news, where people said, oh, this is going to, this could revolutionize, Digibyte and put it in front of way more people, people thought that this would actually be a long-term growth for Digibyte because, this would change Digibyte. If they won the competition and if they're in Minecraft, then essentially the price should just keep going up and up and up and up and up. So there was a lot of people hoping it would keep going up and up and up. Wrong. Despite the significance of the news and how it would impact the coin, once the date of the news hit, it tanked. So irrespective of how this would impact the coin in the long term, these 2 bits of news, it tanked because people sold the news. So it plummeted, basically right back down to lower levels than it was before. And now putting Digibyte in basically where it was near where I invested in it, which was at 0.006. It's not far off that. So this is a perfect example of buying the rumor, trading the news. So as you can see from those 2 examples, it can happen instant and it can take 2 weeks of a constant price rise. Okay, so another thing to also let you know is that it can drop literally the day before the news. It could also drop a couple of days before the news. It could literally rise, the price could literally rise on the rumor and dump way before the news. Okay, so it's not necessarily that people buy the rumor and this is a rule of thumb, that it's always going to go down on the day of the news. Sometimes it can happen 2 or 3 days before the news, and people are literally price spiking it on hearing the rumor, on hearing the announcement that is going to happen, but sell way before it actually does happen. Now, the actual news is typically the dump. No matter how significant, the actual news normally results in the dump. And the perfect example of this is what happened to Neo. So if you've been looking at cryptocurrency markets, you'll probably be aware of NEO. NEO is one of the fastest growing cryptocurrencies in the last few months, okay? Where it was in complete obscurity back in May, all of a sudden it's one of the cryptocurrencies to own. But it wasn't always at this price. So at the moment it's $28. It did nearly go up to $50 before it plummeted due to some really bad FUD that was existing around the China area, the China region. So this is a Chinese-based cryptocurrency. This is looked at as the Chinese Ethereum. At this point, although was very much live, it was really marketed to Eastern audiences, not Western audiences, where a lot of people were pumping money. Then all of a sudden, everybody was hearing about ant shares, which is what NEO was before being called NEO. And people were thinking, oh, wow, what is this? And they were reading up about it, seeing that there were massive similarities to Ethereum. And so they started buying it in the lead up to the announcement that there was a rebranding happening, which was going to be happening on around about the 22nd of June. So it went from obscurity, being worth literally, kind of 18 cents, to all of a sudden being bought up to nearly $10. Nearly $10. And then on the 22nd, it dumped. It dumped on the news, okay? So despite what everybody was thinking about it, it highly dumped on the news. And it went from $9 down to $6, had another price spike where people were saying, wow, this NEO rebranding is excellent. And then all of a sudden it was dumped majorly to around about $4.50, which was the point I got involved in it. I went onto YouTube and I said, guys, now this has been put in front of our eyes. Ant shares is actually going to be probably the next four-figure coin, because it's a lot like Ethereum, which is the Western world's kind of key building currency. This is essentially going to be the Eastern world's building currency. So, when they are launching more and more Eastern cryptocurrencies based on the ant shares or NEO blockchain, this is going to be big. And so people then subsequently bought it up to nearly $50. But this is a perfect example that despite how great a cryptocurrency looks and is, that it gets dumped on the news irrespective of that, because there is an opportunity to make a lot of money in the short term. And so it got spiked, it got dumped, it got spiked again, and then it got dumped. So people trade on the news. So the number one trading tip essentially is buy the rumor. Okay, so when something is coming up for a cryptocurrency, you buy as soon as you hear about it, and preferably long before the actual date of the news. You buy the rumor and you buy it up, and then once it starts declining, which could be on the day, typically the actual news is the dump, but it could happen a couple of days before, in which case once it starts to decline, get rid of it. You've made your profit, get rid of it. Some people are greedy and they think, oh, it'll probably just dump a little bit and spike towards the date of the news, but sometimes it never recovers. This has happened to me before, and I'm going to cover it in the stop loss section. But essentially, once it starts declining, take your profits out, particularly if you've made anywhere between 20 to 50% gains. So I hope that that's helped. I hope that this is certainly the one that you take with you, because this is one of the most major strategies used by traders, and it's the one that pretty much works most of the time. The only place where people get burnt doing this is if they don't sell quick enough, because this can dump before the news, not sometimes on the day of the news. So I hope that that's helped, and I'll see you in the next lecture.